Hey everybody, welcome back to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thanks for joining us today. It is Thursday, but we're doing our news take show because we had Make Solo 2 Happen Day on Monday, which was a great day, so thanks to everybody who participated in that. Yes. We didn't have a normal episode that day. We did a live stream on Monday night. If you haven't checked that out, go back to the channel and check that out. Not sure if we put it on the podcast feed yet. If we do, we'll obviously let everybody know. But we're here to talk about all the latest in Star Wars news, and actually something that just came out literally hot off the interwebs that we're going to react to in just a moment here. But Lacey and James are with me as always. Lacey, how are you doing today?
Lacey. That was really weird how you just said my name. I'm good. I am feeling really, really great off of Monday. You know, it's really hard to leave a day like Make Solo 2 Happen Day and not feel wonderful about the community that we have and the people in the Star Wars fandom that just love this galaxy like we do. And it's just like, you can be having a bad day and then you have a day like that and you're like, this will get me by for a while.
Yeah, recharge the old fan batteries, right, James?
Yeah, absolutely. No, Make Solo 2 Happen Day was awesome. We had a lot of fun. If you haven't gone back and checked out like our live video, it was just that was our like wind down, you know, of everything. We're like, we saw this, we saw this, we saw this. It was crazy. It was fun. So if you weren't able to participate or anything like that, like kind of go watch that video because it will help feel like you were part of it, especially with the chat that was popping in.
And constantly. The man behind this guy popped in for a little cameo. Jonas Sotomo popped in to say that he supports what we do and all that. I mean, it is unreal. It really is. But someone that Jonas knows pretty well at this point, there's going to be our little cold open here to react to. And that was a video that has been circulating social media over the past couple of days of John Boyega sort of in some weird 45-degree angle, impromptu, oddly lit video where someone clearly asked him about if he'd come back as Finn. And it looks like, you know, they want to pick up where they left off with him being force sensitive or whatever. But he reacted to that saying that he would as long as it's Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, and the whole crew and all that stuff. And they do it right and all that. So interesting comments, a very quick snippet. I'm sure he'll have to react to it if he hasn't already. This obviously comes out on Thursday, but interesting words from John Boyega, who just as recently as last summer said he was done and he was all set. So it's amazing what time does. It never fails what time can do to wounds, among other things. So Lacey, what was your initial reaction? We literally just watched this thing. So
my initial reaction is I love John Boyega. He's the best. That's my initial.
Smells great from what I hear.
It smells wonderful. No, he's just like the nicest guy and he's the biggest Star Wars fan. So anytime I get to see him talking about Star Wars, I get excited because, you know, he's excited. And in the past year when he's had, you know, stories and situations that weren't positive, you feel for him, not just as a Star Wars fan, but as a human being. So it's nice to see him positively talking about Star Wars again. That being said, it's kind of interesting that the day that this video comes out, fans were talking like crazy over the weekend about how they want to see him come back and be force sensitive. They want him to be in some type of executive producer role if he comes back, or have some type of creative role behind the scenes to have his input, because he's because he said in the past that he would give notes and stuff to directors or like say, hey, I'm trying to get into my character more. And he's been on the production side for other things that it wouldn't surprise me if he wanted to be involved on the creative end as well. But it's just kind of fun that fans were talking about how much they love John Boyega and how they want to see him come back as a force-sensitive Finn, because we all got that hint at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. And then to have him come back like the next day and be like, yeah, sure, I'd be into it. It's like really exciting because you're like, he must be reading these things. He must be seeing that people really want him to come back as a Jedi. And like, what Star Wars fan doesn't want to be a Jedi? So like, I would love to see that happen for him.
Yeah, it's like make Finn Jedi happen or something. No, this video is interesting because what we saw was just like a very quick snippet, and it looks like he was even. We don't hear what he was specifically asked, and it looks like he was even leaning into, you know, maybe some of the things that would have to happen or who would need to be involved or whatever.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to hear that portion of it. The interesting thing, though, is that what he does land on is Kathleen being involved and JJ being involved. And for me, the big one there is Kathleen, because I think
the first thing people jump to, is not.
Yeah, because it was that he was very vocal that he didn't like the way that it went or whatever. And then since that happened, there was this very specific I had a sit down meeting with the people at Lucasfilm and at Disney about the direction and blah 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 blah. And it seems like all of that was ironed out to an extent that it might not have even ever been Kathleen Kennedy or something. There might have been other people pulling strings and stuff that maybe he just doesn't want to work with. And he goes, at the end of the day, it's fine, and I'm willing to return. It's cool, but just not if these people are involved or whatever. And we don't know who those people are. Mm-hmm. But one thing that was kind of a fan, I don't want to say fan thing, but a rumor or possibility was that it was Kathleen Kennedy that was ultimately pulling strings that, whatever. And that just doesn't seem to be the case, because she's like a go-to name of it's definitely got to be this person. This person's on my team. This person's 100% there. Right. And that's the CEO of Lucasfilm, So it's president.
Yeah. And JJ, because JJ created Finn. JJ gave him the role. So I could totally see him being like, look, he brought me into this. I want him there. Yeah, but
Boyega has never shied away from how much he loves JJ Abrams. Mm-hmm. So I think he liked what they did with Finn in The Rise of Skywalker. And, a lot of people maybe didn't pick up on the fact that there's several points in that movie where Finn is clearly force sensitive, and they're starting to lean back in that direction that maybe JJ had initial plans for in The Force Awakens that they jettisoned in the second one. Mm-hmm. And look at the holiday special. Even they have Finn training with the lightsaber, right? So it's all leaning in that direction, and I think we're only a year and a few months removed from The Rise of Skywalker, and he's already saying I'd come back. We the three of us are saying we're not going to see them till maybe 2030. By that time, it's going to feel really fresh again, and maybe he'd be even more excited to come back, and he'll be in his mid-30s. Mm-hmm. He'll probably have more of other stuff in his career under his belt, probably make more producer work, maybe to the point where he won't want to produce for Star Wars. He just wants to show up and hit his marks like Harrison Ford, So it felt good to see that, because I always talk about how we see the Marvel actors, I love it. I'm so glad. Robert Downey Jr., mega star, still happy to this day to be Tony Stark.
I think he'd come back if they offered it.
He's not tired of it or I've done it. I'm beyond the big thing, and it's nice to see one of people on our side here in Star Wars coming around to embracing it and not being 70 and doing it. So
right.
It's cool. I'm curious to see what his reaction was to that, but we're recording this ahead of putting this out, so we'll have more thoughts on Monday if there is more to that, for sure. But what was the other thing? Monday, Lacey, we're announcing our winners for the Make Solo 2 Happen giveaway on Monday, right?
Yeah, so we have 2 giveaways still going on for Make Solo 2 Happen. We wanted to give you guys ample time to enter. There is one on Twitter, which is you have to tweet Make Solo 2 Happen 5 times and you're entered. And then there's one on Instagram, which has a couple more steps. So it's follow us, follow jewelry brands who donated dice for the giveaway, and just tag someone in the comments that likes Make Solo 2 Happen. And you can get an extra entry if you share the story as well. So you have until end of day tomorrow, basically, to enter. We're going to pick someone on Friday, and then we'll announce the winners on Monday.
All right. Very good. Good times, good stuff, and good luck to everybody. All right, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show, which is the other news that we got to talk about. A lot of catching up to do here, right, James?
Oh, big time. Here we go.
It's the Resistance.
All right, so you may have seen recently that Dave Filoni, fan favorite, was recently made the executive creative director at Lucasfilm, right? But here's the thing. There was no big announcement. It seemed like it was somebody's like, wait a minute, I just noticed this. What's going on here, right? And it took a little bit to dig into this. We reached out, and then eventually we got the real story from Variety, who clarified that when they talked to Lucasfilm, it was No, he's there was no announcement because he's been executive creative director. He's at least one of the executive creative directors. We didn't announce it, and you're just now noticing it because we were just a little behind on the website. The website got updated to his correct title, and all of a sudden everybody lost their minds here because I think there's been a lot of speculation that whoever is going to be in charge of like the story and making things come together and everything like that, it should be Dave Filoni, right? And then you hear this title and you're immediately like, oh my gosh, they did it. Today's the day. And it's like, well, last year was the day, and he's not even the only one. He shares that title with Doug Chiang and with John Knoll. ILM fame, yeah. So and Rogue One fame, I should say. But no, let's talk a little bit about this Photoshop fame, yeah. Visual effects guru fame. No, not to downplay Doug Chiang either. Dude's amazing. But John, what are your thoughts on this whole thing and how it kind of unrolled?
Yeah, it's interesting that it always comes down to someone observing something on a surface value thing, like an update on the website. And I don't know if it's one of those things where Lucasfilm is just like, no one goes to our website. Like, has anyone checked if we've updated that? Like Kathleen Kennedy's at lunch, like eating her salad and just like, or maybe she eats like an Italian combo. I don't know. I'm not here to judge. But she goes, has anybody updated our website lately? Like, we promoted Dave last summer.
It's been a crazy year. They might have just...
Who's in charge of our website layout? Like, go update that website. Like, oh yeah, okay. And they do it, and then like the people who are always looking every day to see if Kathleen Kennedy got fired are like, she's still there. Wait, what's this? Dave Filoni, creative executive director? And then it goes on Reddit, and then every blog in the world covers it. And Variety did a great job here. Adam B. Very said he had spoken with people who said that he was promoted last summer. And I think it's great, but I also think they still should have made a big deal out of it because, there's not many people who dislike Dave Filoni. Now, I'm not the hugest fan of the Clone Wars, and that's fine, but I like Dave Filoni, and I know he understands Star Wars very well. He's the, like I always say, the one clinging arm hanging on to the George Lucas and his way of telling Star Wars. And that's very important, and I think they obviously understand that by giving him the position. So even though it got its big splash without them creating the splash recently, I think they should have made a bigger deal out of it, even if they had to do it now. Because Star Wars, no matter what or when, it will always benefit from PR wins. It needs PR wins at all times. So I'm very surprised they didn't say something about it. I think that was a missed opportunity. I think they should have. But yeah, in the article I brought up that Doug Chiang also has the title, as does John Knoll. Now, John Knoll does that with ILM, but that gives you a perspective of what type of role that is, because John Knoll is one of the head guys over there. He's been there for a very long time. He's the reason why he worked on the prequels. He's the reason why we have Rogue One. He came up with the idea for the movie. Very respected in that field. And then you have Doug Chiang, who's legendary at Lucasfilm. Has been there since the, early 90s. And he's a staple, and now you're giving that title to Dave Filoni in a different space, but you're giving that title to him, and that's why I put it in the article. And I won't get into it, but people who have a YouTube channel tried to pinpoint things about it that was that we put in the article, and I'm like, I had to set them straight, but that's all right. But they gave Dave Filoni this title, and that's a big deal because he is going to be a major part of the executive overlay of the creative direction, and that's a huge deal. And I know that's one of those things that I'm sure, like, even George Lucas, who I don't know that he's the biggest fan of what they're doing with Star Wars these days, but I think he would obviously sign off and give his endorsement for that because Dave Filoni is his understudy. So I think it's great news. I'm curious what that means in terms of future for live action, because you still have the other people involved. Michelle Rejwan, still head of live action development as VP. But I'm curious what that means. Is it you handle business here and Dave's going to handle story structure and maybe be more in charge of the story group and what they do with those types of decisions? I like that. So I'm very curious what that means. But to me, this is just it's a win. It's nothing but a win, and it's very good for Star Wars. Any type of branch of Star Wars fandom seems to like Dave Filoni, and anytime you can bring those fans together, like we just saw even on Monday with what we did, I think it's a great thing. And Star Wars needs PR wins, so put out your press releases about Dave Filoni.
Yeah, Lacey, is this a good thing?
I think so. I think anytime Dave Filoni's involved with something, it does really well with not only fans, but for Lucasfilm too. It's interesting that there's only 3 people with this role, which is, like we said, John Knoll, Doug Chiang, and Dave Filoni. When you look at those 3 people across the board, you have John Knoll, who's the guy at ILM, does all the technical stuff. We talked with Hal Hickel about how he's like, oh, let me create this virtual scene in one night because I'm bored. Like, that's who he is. So then you have that guy kind of pushing the creative direction for those kind of visual effects and creative decisions with that. Then you have Doug Chiang, who does all the artwork. So we saw him do artwork for his team, do artwork for the High Republic. We saw him do it for all the different movies. Rogue One. I think he does the intro for the Rogue One Art of Rogue One book. Mm-hmm. So then if you have that pre-production concept type of team for Lucasfilm, you have Doug kind of heading that up. And then that leaves the kind of production story side, which feeds into those 2 other sides through Dave Filoni. That's how I'm seeing it, at least, which makes sense because Dave so far is the one connecting all these projects. Like, if you look at what Ahsoka has done alone for all the projects, connecting them all together, and then how he brought her and Bo-Katan into The Mandalorian and working with, almost said Wookieing with, working with
that works.
Jon
that
Favreau, and someone that came from the Marvel side that doesn't know the inner workings of Star Wars, but Dave does. He's the one that's like kind of fact checking and being like, okay, well, this person could be here. Could Luke Skywalker show up? Yes, he could. That kind of thing. It totally makes sense for me that he has this role. He's made such an impact at Lucasfilm since he got there, which, again, one of my favorite things about Dave Filoni is hearing his story about how he thought the SpongeBob guys were pranking him about his interview with Lucasfilm is still like, one of my favorite stories that he's ever told. That and like George Lucas giving him a hard time, like when he was talking to him, he was like, no, that's not how this would work. But like you said, John, I think it is weird that they didn't announce this. It just seemed like a really easy win to say, hey fans, guess what, this guy you really like, he's in charge. And then everyone's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. I think it was probably either one of 2 things. Dave probably was like, don't make a big deal about it. Or 2, this took place during COVID, and it might have just slipped through the cracks that it just didn't get updated.
But I'm saying do it now then. Like, who cares?
True. Absolutely. And they could have, and they didn't, and they probably won't, because it's one of those like, oh, we missed our moment.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's awesome that he's got this role, and I can't wait to see what he does with it and all the new projects that are coming out, which we're going to talk about. A bunch of them in the rest of the segment are from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about this type of stuff, but when I'm in my head, when I'm trying to think, why wouldn't they announce this? I don't know, because his involvement right now has to do with the shows, and he's very attached to Jon Favreau, and naming him something that sounds, executive creative director sounds, now that he's been promoted above Jon.
Which people thought immediately.
And I'm like, I think just something weird about that just doesn't really like mesh, so I think maybe that is potentially why. But I do like the move. And this is not the way that it works at all. But in my head, when I think about these 3, and I think you got these pillars, you got Doug, who says what the world is going to look like. He creates that kind of look and feel. And then you have John, who kind of takes that and says, how are we going to make it real? How are we going to bring that to life, whether it's practical or visual, whatever. And then you have Dave Filoni now, who's kind of a third representative of that world, and says, how are we going to make people care about it? How are we going to create the characters and the heart of Star Wars that is going to attach people long term to the things that the other 2 just brought to life?
That's a good way.
And so, yeah, I think there's something interesting about why these people are put in the position they are, because it's very important that all 3 of those get hit in order for Star Wars to be successful. And these three people have very much proved themselves to be those people. And this doesn't include people like J.J. Abrams or Jon Favreau, like I said, because those are outside people that they're bringing in to work on this project. And this, what we're discussing now, are individuals who work for Lucasfilm, and that is their job title, to do this for Lucasfilm consistently for years, so it's I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. But I can't say anything you guys haven't said. Big win. Surprised they didn't announce it. Maybe there's some sense to that, and it's good to have him in that role because we know he's not going anywhere.
James,
Lacey, you said anything that Dave touches is good. I think now people are just starting to see that with Mandalorian.
I would agree with that, and I will totally say I'm one of them.
Right. And when you look at all this, it's just...
Stop. I knew that was going to come back. I knew it. I knew it.
Well, moving on here, let's talk a little bit about those live action shows, because we've got the Book of Boba Fett coming up here, and we saw some patches recently that seemingly hint they might be the patches that come from the Book of Boba Fett crew. And part of that is because on the patches it says the term Buccaneer. Now we know that Star Wars always uses these working titles, but Buccaneer was not really confirmed, and it was something that we weren't sure if it was referring to Mandalorian Season 3 or if it was referring to something else. And then we recently saw Tamara Morrison doing a signing, and he was wearing a hoodie that said Buccaneer in the same font. So the guys over at Boba Fett Fan Club, they kind of pieced all this stuff together, and they said, look, Buccaneer is official. You can see it here. It's obviously somewhat Boba Fett involved, and they put some pieces together, and they're coming to terms with the fact that the working title Buccaneer is probably the production of the Book of Boba Fett. So I'm going to start with you on this one. Lacey, did you see the patches? Do you like them? Do you believe it? What's the story here for you?
Man, Star Wars fans and crew members love patches. Can I tell you a story really quick? Star Wars Celebration, there was one year, I forget what year it was. I think it was 2016. 2016, we didn't have patches. We didn't make patches. People flipped out so much that they overnighted patches in, like logo patches for Celebration.
Really?
Yeah. People were like all about, like all the 501st guys have the big, well, not big, they're not all big, but the vests and the jean jackets and stuff, kind of like biker type.
Yep, it's a collection thing. It's like pins and patches and stickers, probably. Like, could you imagine going to Celebration? There's no stickers anywhere. You're like, okay,
right, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, the patch thing. I just saw that and I was like, they love their patches. As for the Buccaneer thing, totally makes sense. We talked about this in the fall. We originally thought it was tied to either Mandalorian. I knew the three of us threw around that maybe it was Lando, because there were rumors at the time that Lando was getting his own show. I then threw out, what if it was Solo? And it's not. Especially since he's wearing a sweatshirt that says Buccaneer on it. He basically gave it away. Tem was like, yo, it is this. Also, that sweatshirt, I have a couple Lucasfilm sweatshirts, and they look just like that. Like, literally with the white zipper and the...
If they had Boba Fett in Solo, you would imagine he would play him.
True.
I know that's not this. I'm just saying.
True. And if that was the case, we're all... jokes right now. if that actually happened.
No, I'm just
I think they broke it down, not to jump in, but I think they broke it down to like that two things are confirmed here.
It's
that
the same.
The term Buccaneer is real.
Yes, and
it was being used in some official capacity, and it proved that at least one of the three patches that you see were legitimate.
We're legit because it's the same font and everything, and the same size and whatnot. Which makes sense. I mean, Mandalorian was Huckleberry, I believe. So yeah.
Yes.
I get really excited seeing Tem doing anything, and like having his little sweatshirt on makes me pumped for him. So just seeing that image, I was like, yay, you have your own show. Aren't you so excited?
Yeah.
But other than that, that's great. I can't wait to see it. And I saw an article. I think it was this article. It's supposed to come out. No, it was Variety. I lied. Variety's update on the series, and they said it's come out in December, so it is good to go, which gets me excited.
Yeah.
So yeah,
for sure.
Can't wait to see it.
John, you probably know more than any of us all these like weird, crazy titles and stuff like a Black Diamond and Trixie. You're the one that always needs to cover these types of stories as they come through. So when you saw this, in your head, what has been the timeline here in the story for you?
Well, I don't know, because sometimes working titles mean jack. Sometimes it's, I want to reference an old movie theater that I grew up seeing, like Avco, or whatever it was for episode 7 with J.J. Abrams. But Buccaneer, I think, is interesting because it is thematic in terms of what they've been doing, because they did the cowboy working title for Mando, and now this is pirate. And a lot of people falsely identified Buccaneer as Mandalorian season 3. And I think that's why you saw some things popping up. Mando season 3 is done filming and stuff. But it turns out this is for Boba Fett, it appears. I do like the sticker, I think that is. I don't know if it's a patch or sticker, the one that says Buccaneer season 1, because it's Legacy Effects. And that's the company that Hal Hickel had told us about. It's not always just ILM. Legacy Effects came in and did a lot of creature work. And I think they helped out with even Baby Yoda and or Grogu. Sorry, they did a lot of creature work, and it says here creature crew. So a lot of legacy effects going on for the Book of Boba Fett. And I'm trying to look at that sticker.
I love the different crews. There's like model crew.
I'm not gonna lie. It looks like a Gamorrean guard on the right, and there's something very furry on the other side. Is that a Wookiee?
It's got to be a Wookiee. Yeah.
So
I was going to bring this up that I thought, well, also the Gamorrean, he's dropping the axe there. You can see. Looks like it just got shot out of his hand.
Yeah. So it looks like there's clearly going to be more action going down around Jabba's palace and that sort of thing, which I like, which means they're going to be using that more.
Oh, that's totally a Wookiee. I'm now zooming in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's very interesting, because there have been rumors about there being a black furred Wookiee in Mandalorian season 3. What if, again, that's another mistake, and this is for Boba Fett, where this Wookiee, I forget, there's a bounty hunter Wookiee, I forget his name.
Black Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, so maybe that's who's going to be in this show, in the Book of Boba Fett, because obviously he's going to be entangled against other bounty hunters, that. Yeah. I still think Bossk is going to pop up here at some point, because they've been trying to use Bossk forever, and they brought Trandoshans back for Mandalorian. So that's a possibility. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you see these things, and here we are, dissecting this just based off of one patch, and that's the fun of Star Wars podcasting and speculating. We're entitled to do that.
That's definitely a Wookiee. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
there is no.
And
doubt.
That's definitely a Gamorrean guard.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know what's in the background, but Boba Fett looks pretty busy. So it almost reminds me of that scene that they showed that's in the first episode of The Mandalorian, where he's facing off and he's like, I like those odds, facing off against all the stormtroopers.
Yeah, and he's surrounded.
It reminds me a little bit of that. But I don't know what Buccaneer means in terms of like the pirate element of it. I mean,
well, he has the ship.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it could be. Is he kind of acts that way in terms of, what pirates do, which is steal and do whatever they have to do to survive, sort of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's where Boba Fett's at. Mm-hmm. But it's very cool. Like Lacey said, it's all this stuff always makes you excited, because there's tangible evidence that this crew has gotten their stuff, which means here's your care package. Thanks for kicking it for us and doing the work, and let's put this thing in the can. Yeah.
Man, I'm excited for that. Yeah, I think all that makes a lot of sense. And we're, I think, excited for the show to come here in the back. Man, I'm excited we got into that detail, because I almost forgot that I was looking at the patches. I wanted to bring that up, that it looked like a Wookiee and a Gamorrean guard. And could this be a scene from the show? Is this like they never expected it to get out, but it's, we were on set and this is what it was like. This is your experience. So there's,
it could be
forever
concept art that they just
that.
then made a logo out of it.
And can we be fair? Like I'm all about preserving secrets in Star Wars, but there has to be a line where it's like, I think it's okay if they're like, there's a Gamorrean guard in the Book of Boba Fett.
I've said it's only like character development or character appearances that then ruin the surprise for you in the show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like if they showed
like Ahsoka.
If they showed a Yoda silhouette or something in that, I'd be like,
yeah, like if Baby Yoda got out, Grogu got out, Ahsoka getting out early, that kind of stuff like ruined it for me, because I remember how pumped I was for Grogu to appear for the first time. That excitement, or like Luke Skywalker, that moment can never be erased from my mind. It was just so epic. So that's the kind of stuff that bothers me. As for like sets and like, hey, this could be a Wookiee, then probably not. But yeah.
Like Tusken Raiders are going to be in Mandalorian season 3. Like, come on, man.
No.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are showing up in. No, but speaking of ruining it for everybody,
what a segue!
I want to talk a little bit about this variety port that we've mentioned a couple times. Is that there was a very specific line that I think everybody snapshotted, wrote out and put the eyes and all this other stuff, and that's it talks a little bit about how a lot of these shows, including Book of Boba Fett, is currently shooting and premiering in December, and Ahsoka, starring Rosario Dawson and based on the character Filoni created for the Clone Wars. And then a third announced spinoff, Rangers of the New Republic, is not currently in active development. That's a big one. Now, I think we all immediately jumped to it. I'm going to throw it out there too so that you guys can shut it down there quickly. Maybe this just hasn't started development yet. Maybe that's, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian season 3, and a couple of the Ahsoka. Maybe those are like they're working on them currently right now. There's so many projects for these guys to do. Are they working on all of them at the same time? Or is it currently just like we're doing a lot of this one, a medium size of this one, a little bit of this one? We haven't actually started some of these other ones yet. So it's not currently in active development, but it's very likely anybody listening to this probably just goes, nope, that show is canned for very public reasons. John, I'm bouncing back at you with this one. What are your thoughts on Rangers of the New Republic existing anymore?
I'll say this. If their plan was for Gina Carano to be carrying the weight and being the lead in this show, this is a blessing in disguise. Because she is not a good actor. She played her role well, which was a small supporting part, a lot of physical action, but her acting was pretty stiff. And if she was supposed to be the lead in the show, that's bad news. So I think this is a good thing. Now I agree with you. Not being in active development just means it's on the shelf right now, and it's on hold, it's on pause. And it's possible, they've done so much developing it already to the point where they announced this thing. They had Kathleen Kennedy announce this thing, meaning that they had enough ready for her to be like, yep, this is what we are doing, and we're going to talk about it to shareholders in this big, huge event. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you just toss something like that in the garbage. So it's possible they're trying to rework it. And, there's a lot of things that go through rewrites. That long fabled Boba Fett movie went through so many rewrites, and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series went through a lot of rewrites and stuff. And sometimes projects are like not even Star Wars. Like you hear like people on the press tour of a movie, or even like Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool. He was trying to get that made 13 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes it takes a very long time for whatever reason to get
that video
all the financing backing, the producers, all that stuff in play. I don't think this is necessarily in the garbage. I just think they have to rework it. And if it is indeed the fact because Gina Carano is supposed to be the lead, then God bless us all. That's a wonderful thing, because I think she was absolutely fine as Cara Dune, the supporting role in The Mandalorian. And I'm not talking about any of her personal politics or anything. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm talking about if she cannot carry a show on her own. So I think that would have been rough. And it was clearly set up at the end of The Mandalorian that she was being this recruiter. Her eyes were open to this new thing, and she saw something in Mayfeld. She saw something in Fennec Shan. She saw something. She's putting together a team, and you saw the writing was on the wall. Like, that's not speculation. It's right there in front of us. So I think it's something we could see, but it's not going to be our focus right now. And that's okay, because there's plenty of other shows that we could put our focus on. And if they want to bring that back, fine. If not, that's too bad.
Lacey, what do you think about this news?
I think that they should just give the show to Paul and call it The Ranger of the New Republic.
The Ranger of the New Republic.
Just the one. Maybe throw Bill Burr in from time to time. No, that was honestly my first reaction to this news, is that in the header of the article, they have a picture of Paul. And, you know, we love Paul on the show. He's wonderful. I love Kim's Convenience. It's heartbreaking that the show got canceled recently. But in the back of my mind, I was going, oh my gosh, that means that he can do Rangers. And he can do the show and do all these things. So my first reaction to this news is, but what about Paul? Like, give Paul the show then.
I thought it would have been Bill Burr for you.
I think Paul is a better actor than Bill Burr. No offense.
Well, I think
Burr.
Paul Sun Young Lee was supposed to be involved in this. I think he was coy with us. I'm sure he was involved in some way.
But I'm saying if they're reworking it, saying it's not in active development, which first of all, to me, says it's been put on hold. Like, they're not even talking about it. They're trying to figure out what to do, but they're not even discussing it. That's what that means to me. It's like they literally were like, I'm not touching this for right now. Because no matter what they do with this project now, it's somehow tied to Cara Dune. And that's the problem. Because when all that stuff went down, the initial response was, we're not renewing her contract and she's not going to get recast. Because that was the big question. Are they just going to get someone else to play her? Are they going to bring in another? They're not doing it. So if they're not bringing the character back at all, if that's done, then that's still tied to this somehow. And everybody knows it. So you can't even look at the project without thinking about this other PR disaster on the side. So to me, active development, not currently active development, means to me they're putting it on hold, and they're probably going to change the title, and they're probably going to come up with a whole new concept that was originally supposed to be this. Because they're trying to get so far away from all of that they don't want to be involved. So, yeah, this isn't in development, but something else might be with a new title and a new premise and all this other stuff. Personally, my thought is give Paul a show because he's so good and wonderful and is a Star Wars fan himself and is so gracious and wonderful. Just give him a show. Let him go back in the X-Wing. He can come on the show and talk about it. It'll be great. But yeah, that's all I think about it. The other thing too weird is that they didn't mention any of the other shows that they mentioned during that Disney Investor Day. They didn't mention Lando. They didn't mention all the droids stuff. What droids, visions. They didn't mention any of that. So I don't know if it's because these were specifically Dave Filoni projects.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be. I think that is because you said, or it says Book of Boba Fett and it says Ahsoka and Rangers of the New Republic were the three where they were all three of them together leading up to the crossover event. Yeah. So I think you nailed it there. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody took this news immediately and just jumped to Gina Carano, she was fired and this was supposed to be her show. Looks like the whole thing's canned now. But I think there's something very telling about that the way it was worded, not currently in active development. Like it could have said no longer in development. And I feel like that feels way different than not currently in active development, you know?
Yeah.
That to me could say that they're literally doing active development under a new name, but they haven't released it yet.
Oh, yeah, that too. Like, you're leaning into the name. A third announced spinoff, Rangers of the New Republic, is not currently in active development.
Right, but this other thing
other shows with this other entity currently is. Yeah, it surprises me that when you say these three shows are supposed to cross over, it's almost like we were going to do a Iron Man, we were going to do a Captain America, and we were going to do a Thor. Thor's no longer in active development. So how are we leading to the Avengers? Like,
right, because you need Thor, yeah.
There's something else that's missing here, and in I think the story and the way they were planning all this out, there was this other arm of storytelling that was happening over here that is going to connect everything. And I guess I don't know if that just means they just got rid of it and then they're just tying in the loose ends, or if they're doing what you're saying and maybe they're just like, I don't know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's work on these shows right now, and then maybe we can come up with a way to tie in something else once we work it out or whatever.
I
don't know.
They're going to distance themselves from the name, and nobody knows what the concept is, so they don't have to do that, because they didn't ever say that Cara Dune was doing this. It was just kind of rumored that it was her show. So I still think they're going to get rid of that name, put a new name on it, and be like, oh, this is the new show. Just
There's
to
also,
distance
I mean,
themselves.
I don't think they will, but we can't rule out them recasting Cara Dune either.
I think it makes sense because I don't think Cara Dune, the character, is the problem. And hey, maybe you could get a better actor in the process of recasting. But yeah, I get it though. It's all about PR. And at the end of the day, there's so much stuff being tied to it and baggage that I'm sure that's what they're dealing with.
But that's the thing. Like, we're not talking about Carrie Fisher or Harrison Ford or Ewan McGregor here.
Right,
It's Gina Carano.
Right.
Like, it's not...
But
it's
still,
not worth the
people were
headache.
talking about it nonstop for how many weeks? Still,
Yeah,
we're talking about
I
it
mean,
now.
Weeks.
We discussed this though, John, and I very much disagree that they would ever recast that character because I know
didn't
what
say
you're
they
saying.
would. I'm just saying we can't rule it out completely
Yeah, but
as an option.
and you're right, but my gut tells me I'm very much on the end that they would never do that because
I don't think they would either.
I don't think any actress wants to step in and tie herself to that character because of the personal politics around it.
And imagine the interviews. So how does it feel taking over from this? How does it
Yeah,
feel?
she's going to be brought up. She's going to be compared. It's just, it would be a mess. And I would find it very hard
He's
to
just
get
saying,
somebody to...
he's not saying
I'm
they
not
would,
saying
but-
that's
I
what
know.
they're doing.
Yeah.
All options need to be laid out on the table.
Yes, in the same way that we did it with Carrie Fisher as well. Like we're like, oh well, what are every option? Well, they could replace her as an actress. They could fill her in with CG. Whatever.
Kill her off before the movie starts.
Kill her off before all those things. I totally understand. I mean that really is about as what we can say. Not currently in active development, and I don't know. I hope we get to see the show in some way, shape, or form. I was excited about the idea of it, and I think we all were. So let's see what
Paul.
happens. Yeah, call Paul.
Team Paul.
Better call Paul. Let's
Better
make
call
that
Paul.
a thing.
I like that. Wait,
All right.
wait, we have to trademark that.
All right, we got one final story here for Resistance Report, and that is that there are some possible Star Wars sets spotted in the Scottish Highlands. Now, the thing is, here is, I don't know what's up with these. I took a look at the photo. I read the report on StarWarsNewsNet.com. It still kind of doesn't make sense to me. I see the sets, but I see people just walking around, like taking pictures of it in every angle, whatever they want. Lots of details here. And all the sets look very Star Warsy, including one that kind of reminded me of the Battle of Hoth, and I think that was mentioned in the article as well, like that type of base construction
Bunker,
or whatever. Yeah. And so I think this very well could be more stuff for Andor. We can get into it here in a second, but I don't know. It's very odd to me that sometimes they can take pictures like from a cliff or like from really far away or something like that.
2 buildings
These
away.
pictures are
Yeah.
all just like somebody was like, "What is this?" And it seems like there's like people there or whatever. Did they just abandon these for the night or something? I'm very confused by this story.
Someone was on
Lacey-
vacation. They just noticed it.
Yeah, Lacey, any thoughts here? And then maybe because John's the Star Wars Newsnet reporter on this, maybe he could set us straight. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are Disney. What the hell's going on with security? Where are your security guys? This keeps happening. Also, I couldn't help but think that like the funny scenario would be that it's like a super fan building their own thing, like the guy in Russia that built Razor Crest. It's like some super fan, and all these people are like, "Look at these sets," and it's like a guy down the street that just built these things as a passion project, and people are like going crazy. But
I
most
thought
likely
very
not.
much fan film was possible. You know?
Sure. I don't know. My thought is they're building a ship for some external shots. They're probably not going to do a lot of shots there. Kind of just like when they build the Millennium Falcon in certain locations. Or like the huts on Ireland. They built a couple just to get the big shots.
Like Jabba the Hutts?
No, like the
I know,
Jedi
I'm kidding
huts. Oh. But yeah, there's nothing else to say about these except like they look like Andor. And if that's the case, like Andor is shooting everywhere. Like... It
Yeah,
is all
They're
over
doing the
place.
tour for sure. Yeah.
They're like, we need a beach, and they're like, how about 6 beaches?
Well, there's a beach right down the road.
But I remember a while ago, people were saying that they were location scouting in Scotland. I think it was on Star Wars Newsnet that they were looking into that. So it's interesting to see that come into fruition. Like last summer.
Yeah.
John, you got anything on this story? What are you seeing when you see these photos?
Yeah, at very first glance, when I saw the title image we used, I was like, looks like the Razor Crest or something. 'Cause it looks like the engine or whatever. Now, I don't know if that's a bunker or whatever, but clearly the one by the town sign, the Crochin Dam or whatever that is. I know one of our listeners is going to correct my pronunciation on that, but that does look like some sort of like base element. So it's crazy, because if this is certainly, Andor is the only Star Wars production filming in the UK right now. So if this is Star Wars, it's Andor, and man, are they putting money into this show from a physical set perspective. Like, this is like The Last Jedi, the Rise of Skywalker type stuff. Like, this Solo, is big. Yeah. And there's, where's the other, there was the other, recently someone was saying, I didn't add it to the show notes, but that they were back in Black Rock Park doing filming, which is where they did Ajon Kloss for Rise of Skywalker. Like, they like familiar locations. Like, we know they like the Cardington air sheds for making big indoor sets, and they like, Jordan, and they use that for Rogue One and Rise of Skywalker. They like going back to places that they had success filming at. So, and it dates back to even, doing Jordan shoots for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Like, Kathleen Kennedy's like, oh yeah, we shot that movie there. It was incredible. You guys want to go there and do these 2 movies? Like,
and so on Vandor, they shot 10 feet from the hotel because there was a blizzard.
Yeah, you're
just like guy. The original.
Yeah,
funny like guy. All the jokes.
No, yeah, I mean, this is cool stuff. Again, it's not big news. That's why it's our last story that we're going to be really talking about. But it's fun because Star Wars is still doing the blend where they're like, yeah, we have all that new technology and stuff, and everyone's, the new pretty girl in school is the volume technology, but it's cool to see these big sets and stuff, and that sizzle reel that we saw at that webcast thing look like those episode 3 on-set camera stuff that George Lucas showed us, where these giant hallways and giant doorways and stuff. Andor's gonna be freaking big, man. Crazy. It's gonna be a big production. So I'm the more I see stuff like that, the more excited I am.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's any more to add to this. I think we've pretty much covered it because it was a pretty basic thing here. But I just wanted to say that is the end for Resistance Report. And we're going to wrap it up and send it to the next section, which is going to be just a shout out to Patreon. John?
Yeah, so we have a Patreon that basically helps keep the engine running and keep us being able to strive to do more things here at TRB. Have you seen over the years, if you go back and watch a video of ours when we started doing video, or even our audios when we first started doing
Oh my gosh, 2 years ago, I was looking through old clips, guys, because I've been building this folder of like vault clips to like go pull from time to time. First of all, we all look like babies for some reason to me. Second of all,
pandemic was rough.
I'm saying 2 years ago, 2019.
I'm just kidding.
2018 too. But it's like funny because we're all shooting like here, and it's like not lit, and it's a mess. But because of you, it's not a mess.
Yeah, that's the thing, and we're always trying to make updates, and I know a lot of people have been noticing that we're our audio and our visuals are always looking better and improving, and we're always striving to make those better. And plans for events and not just Celebration. We'd love to go to other con events and that have Star Wars involvement, Dragon Con, other stuff. We like being able to do things and bring people that can't always go to these things into the experience with us. And the list can go on, but we are making updates to our Patreon page in June. You're going to see those roll out. We're going to have announcements coming soon on that. But we're always trying to make sure we let people who do support us know this isn't just a set it and forget it Patreon thing. We do put a lot of time in, and Lacey runs that page for us and does a lot of work behind the scenes. But all three of us really do put a lot of work into making good content for you as a thank you for supporting us. We know you support us because you believe in us, but we want to make sure we thank you back. If you do want to sign up, go to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Tiers actually only start at $2 a month, and you get full page access with that. And Dave, take a look. Each tier, as you go up, there's more perks and benefits. We have a Discord server that people seem to really love at the tier 3 and up, and a lot of other surprises along the way. And so usually on our Monday show, we do the Patreon pod race. This is a Thursday show, but our generals get to do that. And, we always want to give them a special thank you. So I want to say a special thank you to our Patreon generals right now. And that is CARMELO, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John RISI, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Kendall Gelner, Paul Olsen, Jake Houchins, Jeff Connery, Oliver Lewis, Dave Hornak, Frank Grande, Ryan WAARA, HASSAN, Joe Ritchie, Darth Hurricane, Timothy Hill, and Val Trichkov. Thank you all for all of your support. It means a great deal to us. So, before we get out of here, any last things you guys want to touch on? I know it's, we have, the weekend come up and stuff like that. Anything you guys are getting into? What are you guys up to lately? Anything you want to throw out there to our folks?
If you guys haven't checked it out already, we did put together a why we want to see Make Solo 2 happen video with a bunch of you guys from the TRB community. With your families and in cosplay and super creative videos that we threw together with Jonas at the beginning, talking about how he needs us to carry the flame and keep it going. Please check it out. It's really cool. It's going to make you feel really good and smile and make your day, because it made my day putting it together. And then also I do have a Lacey's Outpost up that went up about a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
Of all the cool stuff I've gotten lately, and it's super fun.
Are you going to ever do an episode of TRB with that on full time?
Do you want me to put it on? I don't know. I have a ponytail on.
Can you do the rest of the show with it on?
I could. I don't know if my ponytail will.
I think it's going to work.
Yeah.
This is great. So, Din Jarin, big fan.
Yeah, first time, long time, Din.
Yeah. So glad you could make it out to the show. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not the Buccaneer, Din? Is that what's going on?
No, that's your good friend Boba Fett.
Right.
Know,
James,
guys.
you're still rocking and rolling with your Bad Batch reaction show, though. That's some good stuff that you're doing, because they're not very long videos, which people like, but you're getting to the meat and potatoes of reacting to those, and I've been enjoying those, and I know a lot of people have been.
Yeah. I like doing them. I don't like getting up at 3 a.m. and watching the show and having to put it all together or whatever. But I love being able to be the person that kind of delivers the message from Star Wars Newsnet, kind of thing. We have written articles on the website, which is awesome. And usually my reaction is paired with that. So you get like a non-spoiler review, and then you get like the spoiler and all the details and stuff like that. And then you kind of get, my version of it, which is going to be kind of, I would say, like different from, whoever's writing the spoiler review. So you're kind of getting multiple perspectives in one article. And my goal with it is to, sometimes I get kind of long-winded on the episodes, but I want to make it clear and concise and get to the point, but still have fun. The more I talk, the more fun it is. But if you're looking for something that's just like, I want to get to the point, then it gets kind of lost in there. So I'm trying to always find the balance, and it's fun being able to do it.
Yeah, it's been cool to see, and it makes me miss doing our other side stuff, like the Mando fan show and all that stuff. I can't wait to get back to doing that stuff. Speaking, I'm a little starstruck that Din's here as I'm talking about the Mando fan show, but it's got to be done. Din, you like the Mando fan show, right?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit. You can take it off. I feel bad.
It's actually not that bad. It's just my ponytail is making it sit awkward.
It looks fine from our end.
It looks fine. Yeah, it looks good.
It looks like Darth Vader in A New Hope, when you can, like, if you work really hard, you can kind of see facial features.
Yeah, true. In A New Hope, you can definitely see David Prowse's
you need a dark
eyes.
saber, because this just doesn't make any sense at all.
This is not canon, Lacey.
I do have a dark saber in the closet.
You know what else has been fun? I am currently reading the next High Republic novel, as they sent an early review copy. So book discussions is happening. Yep. Book discussions is going to happen when that drops. We got a couple different ones that are all coming around at the same time.
Did you say the book of Boba Fett?
Not the Book of Boba Fett, though. But no, 2 High Republic. Well, they're all High Republic books, but one bigger one young adult, and then a preview of another one that's coming. So I can kind of get started on that one as well. But it's been kind of crazy, you know. I'm excited to see where the story goes after following Light of the Jedi and stuff. It's been fun.
If they do a novelization of the Book of Boba Fett, will it be the Book of Boba Fett? You think?
Shut up.
No, it would be the Book of Boba Fett novelization, probably.
Novelization. There you go. All right. Well, I don't have a lot going on. I've got a new job, so I've been very busy with that. But I'm hoping once I get in a groove, I'm writing more actually in Star Wars Newsnet. I've been missing that, so I've been doing a lot of the proofing and behind the scenes stuff there.
Congratulations on your new job.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, our T-shirt sales aren't paying the mortgage.
I'm
so
still
I gotta
looking
do
for
other
bounties
work.
if anybody's wondering.
Right. That is, yes, always. Getting paid in what is it? A Mon Calamari flan? Is that what
the noise it makes when it hits the table?
Mon Cala flan.
Yeah. No, but I'm also doing my other movie podcast, Just Like the Movies, with my best friend Mike, and we just did Jurassic Park. So for people who like,
it's not out yet, is it?
It came out Tuesday.
Came out Tuesday. Okay, so I'm behind then. I haven't.
Well,
been
2 days
checking.
ago. Came out 2 days ago.
You're not on notifications, but you're on constant check back.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go, John.
So check that out if you can. We appreciate it on all audio podcast platforms. If you like hearing me talk about other movies, and my friend Mike, who's funnier than I am, if you could even imagine that's possible. No, you can't. Yes, you can. All right. We want to thank everybody for listening and watching and being a part of the Resistance. We kind of just did our plugs there. So you have at Lacey Gilleran, Twitter and Instagram, at Myra Trunks, Twitter and Instagram, at Johnny Hoey, just Twitter. I'm on Instagram sometimes, but not really. Make sure you do subscribe to Star Wars Newsnet like we've been talking about. Not subscribe, but make sure you go to the site every day for all of your news, reviews, editorial information, and more. YouTube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos is where you're watching all these videos we've been talking about, the unboxings, the Lacey's Outpost, James's book discussions, the reaction shows, all that stuff, and this show here, because you get to see Lacey wearing a helmet. If you're listening to the audio version, you don't get to absorb that entertainment. But of course, most of our audience is audio, so all of your podcast apps for the Resistance broadcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud is a big one for us, Amazon Music, and if we're not on yours, let us know. But we hope you have a great weekend. Is this Memorial Day weekend?
Yes.
So enjoy the long weekend, everybody, and we will be putting out an episode Monday, so you'll have a nice day off. Maybe you listen to the show from home or watch from home, but either way, we hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you Monday with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.
I was like, is she not talking because she has a helmet, or is she not talking